Hi, I'm Dan Hegstead. Welcome to my vlog and podcast, Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. It's all based on my book of the same title, which is available from Amazon, and it's available as print, it's available as an audiobook read by me, and it is a Kindle e-reader. And the links to all that are on my website, danhegstead.com, or if you would like to hire me as a speaker or learn more about that, that information is on my website also. It's danhegstead.com. So today is my birthday. And I usually don't date these things, but it is April 14th, 2023. It's my birthday. I'm 68 years old today. And just this week, I did a presentation for a group. One of my presentations is called Aaging with Attitude, the Old and the Restless. And so I thought, well, today would be appropriate to talk about that in my vlog and podcast. I'm a 1955 model. 55 was an interesting year, same as Disneyland. McDonald's started in 55. The small block V8, which it may go out in my lifetime too. Wouldn't that be something? So I'm getting older, and I kind of like getting older. There's some downsides to it too, but, what are you going to do about it? And when I turned 30, so 38 years ago, I told people I don't want any black balloons. I don't want any over-the-hill cards, anything like that. We celebrate birthdays. I even have a birthday season. And, when I hit a milestone, when I turned 60, I celebrated the whole year because it's a big deal. So I want to talk about that today because Betty Davis said, growing old ain't for sissies. And it's true. There's a lot of challenges in growing old. So many times I find myself saying youth is wasted on the young. So if you're young, don't waste it. Do your stuff and enjoy it. But just do the best you can. So I'm 68, but this vlog and podcast isn't for old people. This is for everybody. I don't care how old you are. You have birthdays, and you celebrate those. Celebrate all of life, and recognize that as you get older, things will change, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is. We in this country have this youth culture. And it's just everywhere. It's just built into this country like racism. It's not healthy. But that's how you sell things. Everybody wants to be younger, so if you do this or take that or buy this, you're going to at least feel younger, at least for a little bit. I remember when I was a kid, I think it was about 1961. So we're talking a long time ago. Pepsi. Think young, join the Pepsi generation. And that it stuck with me. I mean, I was 6? And it's like, really? And what do you do about it? Nothing. You're not going to change it, but be aware of it and reject it. Just reject it. Say, no, I don't care. I'm over 30, I'm over 40, I'm over whatever. I am whatever age I am. I am not used up. I'm no good. The advertisers don't want you unless they're selling you drugs or insurance, but just don't buy into it. Just say no. But there is part of our brain that realizes that at some point, yes, we are getting older. We're getting closer to the end than we were from the beginning, although it can only seem like it because we don't know when the end is. But and things don't work quite as right. Things aren't as easy. I'll tell you, when you get older and you make a mistake, the first thought is, am I losing it? Not, oh, no, I made a mistake. Well, that's not right. So at least be aware of that. Gray hair is bad. Well, it changes. The reason we need color in our hair to attract a mate. Once we have procreated, you could die, and nature doesn't care if you look pretty anymore. So gray hair. I say your hair, your non-gray hair, is a sign of your ignorance and inexperience. So let's go with that. And Oscar Wilde, love it. Here's a great quote. He said, "Sometimes wisdom comes with age, but sometimes age comes alone." And it's true. There's no inherent wisdom in age, but it's nice if you've learned from your experiences and applied it. Older folks can have some great wisdom, and I've learned a thing or two. I don't know when it was. I could probably point some dates, but my life could really have gone south a few times, and for whatever reason, I made the right decisions, and I've learned and become a much better person for it. And I've saved a lot of that, what I've learned and that wisdom in this book. So that's where that comes from. Losing friends and family is hard, but, we have to work at making new friends too. I try to just at least not act old. I'm retired, so time is much more flexible. I tell people don't eat dinner before 5 p.m. I mean, you can do that when you're retired, and it's kind of a joke, dinner at 4 or 4:30 or something. I mean, just don't do it. Even if you have time and you feel like it, you get in the habit. Don't do it. That's what old people do. Driving real slow. I mean, it's just a sign of being old, and you just don't have to do it. Now, being cautious is always good, too. There was a woman in our church, Millie Geertsen. Oh, she was terrific, and she said, "I accept every invitation." And I think that's a great thing to do no matter what age, is always take that opportunity to get out of the house and be with people and be active. And older people can use, sometimes as an excuse, it's dark. Now, sometimes we have vision issues and can't drive so much after dark. There's that. We live in Minnesota, so it's cold. Well, you know what? It's always cold here in the winter. Don't use it as an excuse. So rather than say, "I can't," say, "I choose not to." If it's something you do, own it, but don't use your age as an excuse for not doing things. Now, saying that, I had to run through an airport a month ago, and that was a little bit of a challenge. I'm not going to be doing a lot of running. Don't lie about your age. Tell people how old you are. How old are you? I'm 68, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a badge of honor, if anything. Really, it's nothing. It's just a number. Tagline on my Facebook page says, "I'm not like most teenagers. I'm in my 60s." And that's kind of the way I feel a lot of times. The stuff I have to deal with my body is like, what? Where does that come from? It's just, my head isn't there. And I guess that's a good thing. Change is happening all the time, and we resist it. We've talked about that in this vlog and podcast. Our base brain, our reptilian brain, hates change because we don't know what's coming and we're afraid. So change is happening all the time, and there's episodes of the vlog and podcast about change. But I tell people, start slow. Try and find some routine things that you do that you can do different, and at least prove to your base brain that it's okay. You can do something different. The idea that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I'll tell you, that pegs my BS meter, because it just isn't true. And, actually, I looked up where that came from. It's an old English veterinarian writing. It's so old English, it's hard to read. And it's just one guy who said it. And it's like it just got popular and passed down. And people use it as an excuse. Now, yeah, it's easier to learn languages and new things when you're younger, but that's no excuse not to try. I love this story of a guy named Johan Granli. I read this, 30, 40 years ago in the newspaper. This guy worked for the street department in Minneapolis, as I recall. So he's just this working Joe. He picked up the harmonica at 104. And started learning the harmonica. Old dog, new tricks, nonsense. 104. And then he said, I don't play old Norwegian folk tunes. I play songs I make up. I didn't know I could do that until I picked up the harmonica. And he's 104. What are you going to do? He died at 106. Then there is the quote. Well, I don't know who's, I've got it in quotes on my paper here, but I don't know exactly who said it. The older I get, the less I care about what people think of me. Therefore, the older I get, the happier I am. Well, that's true. That's true. That's good. But one of the worst things you can do is take that too far. You are not allowed to drop your social skills just because you're older and you're not interacting in the workforce any longer. No, you cannot do that. I do not give you permission to be a grumpy old goat. You still have to act like a civilized human being and interact with people. Yes, it's a very nice freedom to not have to live up to certain standards, but that doesn't mean you can dress like a bum when no matter what. So keep up your standards, even if you don't have to. Social standards, your grooming and so forth, don't let that slip away. You are not allowed to be a grumpy old goat. You can't say everything that comes into your head. Now, you can have your opinion, go with it, but tone it down, tone it down. I love the freedom of not having a job. I still do work. I have a lot of work, but it's kind of on my schedule, and it's what I like to do. That's terrific. And I've let go of a lot of things I was doing. I've really pared back my life very intentionally to give me more time to do the things I really want to do. Now, I'm still working. I'm making videos. I'm doing speeches. I'm doing this. I guess this is work, although I'm having a lot of fun at it. But I recognize that, and I'm enjoying that freedom, and I'm in charge of my life. I love the Red Hat Society, the women out with red hats and purple dresses. I love it. Go for it. Go for it. There was a group called SCORE, Senior Corps of Retired Executives. These are retired executives, and they work with SCORE, and they mentor, younger folks starting businesses. Well, one of the things they've had to do is have a talk with some of these people saying, hey, you still need to be social. One of the issues is they're mean and angry and just, no, you can't do that. You still have to be social with people just because you're old and retired. You do not have that permission to do that. I think it's critical, no matter what age you are, to have goals. You have to have goals. And to sit around just waiting to die, you don't know when that's going to happen. You should have goals for when you're 120 years old. Yeah, you heard that right, 120. And I'll tell you what, I've been saying this for decades, and the first thing, when people can talk to me, the first thing most of them say is, I don't want to live that long. And I think that is sad. Here's what's going on. We look to the future. Remember how we can predict the future, how good we are at that? What do we see? We see us in a nursing home staring at the floor. Well, yeah, I don't want that either. But, since you don't know the future, why not look into a future where you're 100 years old and you pick up the harmonica and learn how to play it? That's the future I want you to see. If it doesn't happen, who cares? If it does happen, yes. Have some goals for when you're 100 and plus. Do that. What do you want? Envision the future you want and make it happen. When I was much younger, a friend of mine, I think I was in high school, his dad got a couple of snowmobiles, and we're out driving snowmobiles. It's a lot of fun. Well, my friend said to me something, because I guess I was struggling with the thing. I don't know. He said, with a snowmobile, You can't ride it. You got to drive it. Don't ride it. Drive it. You have to take control. You have to move with it, not just steer it. And I use that when I got a motorcycle. You can't just ride it. You got to drive it. You've got to be engaged in it. And I think that's just a terrific metaphor for life. Just don't sit there like you do in your car and drive down the road like it's a moving living room with, no. Take control of it. Drive it. Where are you going? What do you want? You're the one in charge. And if you don't get what you want, you can't control everything, but, drive it. Drive it. There's going to be detours and flat tires and all kinds of stuff, but who cares? Listen, I celebrate every birthday, including today, because birthdays are worth celebrating. Not everybody gets another one. I got one, and today's the day. People asked me if I could do a video shoot next April. And I said, you bet. It's on my calendar. I've got plans for travel for January. For next April, there's a giant eclipse, a total eclipse crossing the U.S. Next April 8, 2024, we are going to be there. It's on the calendar. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. But it's on the calendar. I'm planning on it. And it's great. If you've never been in a total eclipse, do whatever you have to do to get to an eclipse. Total eclipse, not just close to it. That's fine. You got to get in the path of totality. It's one of the most amazing things you could ever experience. I was at the one in 2017 in Nebraska, which didn't last that long, but it's like, holy cow, indescribable. Wonderful experience. Now, we may get there, and it may be cold and cloudy and rainy. No guarantees, but I'm going to be there. Embrace each day with wonder. We can, mindfulness is something we talk so much about when teaching Tai Chi, is being in the moment and really experiencing where you are at the moment. It takes practice to do that, but once you get into the habit, it becomes kind of cool. I think I've mentioned this story before. A friend of mine would drive to Arizona with his dad every fall, and then every spring he'd go pick him up, bring him back. And what a great time, huh? They stayed off the freeways and tried to take a different route each time. And my friend said he was complaining about the scenery. They're probably in eastern Colorado, or western Kansas, which is about as barren a land as I've ever seen. He was complaining about the scenery, and his dad said, well, that's only because you're not paying attention. And if you pay attention, there is a beauty and an awe to be had in such a bleak place where there is nothing but road and some stuff growing. I mean, there's no houses, there's no fences, there's no power poles, there's nothing. It's sky, earth, and highway for miles. It's impressive. I kind of like it. I get into the zen of driving across there. It's pretty cool. So try something different, change your routine, learn something new, and don't live in the past. I'll tell you, and worry is like paying a debt you don't owe. Just roll with it as best you can. There's a man who said that he'd been through some horrible physical stuff and should have been dead 3 times, but he was in pretty tough shape physically, but he said, one that I've learned is the body works to its highest function possible always. It's doing the best it can all the time. So go to the doctor and don't just complain about it. Go see if it's amazing what medical science can do these days. It's changed since 2 years ago. It changed since this morning. The thing you've been complaining about, go see your doc, and if they can do something about it, I'll tell you, it's why not? Don't complain. Do something about it. All right. And lastly, I want to remind you, let go of what others think about you, but don't be a grumpy old goat. You are not allowed to do that. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to my dog, too. We don't know what her birthday is, but we gave her my birthday, and we think she's about 14 today, and she's doing great. She's deaf as a stone, but if you shout in her ear and say, do you want to go in the car, man, she turns into a puppy and runs, the best she can out to the car. She's just different levels of happy. And, be like Scout. You're going to be great. Okay, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Dan Hegstead. If you're interested in the book, the link's on my website. If you'd like to book me as a speaker, link's on my website. It's danhegstead.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Next steps, tools for transforming from coping to thriving.